Some of it is trial and error, and you meet new people when you have different things at shows. So I always try to take some things I don't usually carry to find new customers. Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go! Hello everybody, this is George the Antique Nomad. I am with you in Saint Petersburg, Florida, and I'm going to give you a quick tease of the Saint Pete Antique District. I am here today to get ready for the show this weekend at the Saint Petersburg Coliseum. It's the annual antique show here, and it's a really big deal. I love the show. It's in a beautiful venue, and Saint Pete is an antique destination, a lot of tourism, so a lot of antique stores. And this is a really great modernist store, one of my favorite in the country. And I'm gonna flip the camera so you can see the little antique district here. So I'll just give you a quick tease. Across the street is Buster's, which does vintage furniture, and they do lots of chalk painting and repurposing and have all the supplies, which is really great. But this is Vintage Modern St. Pete. This is the one I'm in. We're gonna look down the block here. The other stores down here, we've got Lion's Paw, we have Refound with a lot of jewelry, we've got a pottery and ceramics store. We'll come and take a look at those later and come back and do more videos here because there's really neat stuff. But for today, we're going to walk into St. Pete Vintage Modern, and we're going to go to my space because I am here to work and to figure out what I need to take to the antique show this weekend. So we'll see a couple of the spaces as we go by, and there's a really good Brutalist piece there. I believe that's by Lane. They have a lot of modernist furniture. This was a little hard to see outside through the window, so I wanted to give a better look. This is the Broyhill by Raymond Loewy, my favorite industrial designer. He did the 1963 Studebaker Avanti, which is an amazing car, 25 years ahead of its time. You'll see they have Kelly green lamps that they found that match this. I had never seen this set before. It was done about 1970 for Broyhill. There's a little shadow on it, but you get the idea with the color and the pedestals and the real definition of the two-toning. Really great stuff. And the only other one I've seen, which was the first time I'd seen it, was at my other favorite modernist store, Epic Antique in Seattle, 3,500 miles away. So go figure. Here's what's left of Christmas display, because we are right after Christmas. One aluminum tree left. It sold a ton of Christmas stuff, but that one is still here. This space has a lot of really fun, cool stuff. It'll be fun to come back and show you all of this when I get a chance. Tons of vintage fashion in here. I have this case with a lot of Native American I'm going to take a look at and see if there's anything that needs to go to this show. I'm selling a big, huge collection now. This dealer gets a ton of fun and interesting stuff and is a longtime dealer from the area. And here's my space. And my space starts here with this big wall map. And we're going to take a look here, and I'm going to go through and take a look at what I've got in stock and see what I need to leave, because they're going to be busy during the show too, and what I think I can take to the show. I always bring barware in here because it seems to do well, and I see a couple little pieces here that I think are kind of cool, so I might grab one or two of those and leave a few with them. Lots of little advertising stuff, Chevy's first truck model. Those are the kind of things that actually do well at shows because a lot of people like little advertising pieces. And of course, we're in Florida, and even though there's a local market for stuff, there's also a lot of people who buy for their home here because a lot of people are moving down here, but then we also get a lot of tourists. So this Union sign is from a Union Oil gas pump from the 50s. That might be something to take. I've had pretty good luck with those at shows. I think I'm going to leave Wilt Chamberlain here because he's a mirror and I worry about things getting broken, but that's a cool piece out of the late 70s or early 80s. The big concrete piece here is neat. I've got several concrete statues. They have a patio here where we can put things out to sell, but I think that's going to be too heavy to take. The fish in the middle is Blue Mountain pottery from Canada, and you see some coral and related decorations. Those sell well, but I think I'll leave those too. These aluminum napkin rings from the 50s I think are really neat. If I had a bigger set, I'd take those to the show, but I think with only 4, I'll leave them here because then someone can match up. And several figures, Cebus and Rapunzel is a Lennox, and the Madonna is Goebel. Might take some of that. The pretty little ballerina has been to a few shows, so I think I'll leave her here. And there's a good microphone here that I think I've shown before. That might actually go to the show with me, although there is a collector who comes into this store. It's always hard to know, because when you have a show, it's going to be really busy in the stores in town as well, and our show is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so this place ought to be pretty busy. There's some original art up there, including this piece. This is a Max Pollock. He was an artist who did a lot of pen and ink, and this was done in Austria, and the dancer is sometime from about the 1950s in Dry Point. The sterling candelabra set here is something I should definitely take with me, because I do have a customer who comes specifically for sterling silver, so I think those will go. Pretty blue Tiffin vase on the right, but I think I'll leave that because I already have a lot of nice glass to bring. I have the Betlocks freeform pieces from the 50s here, but I have someone who comes to this store and looks specifically for those, so I think I'll leave those in stock. Might take these little bottles here, actually. I'll make a pile and review it with you all at the end to show you what I did decide to take. This piece here is a Francoma specialty limited edition vase from the early 70s when they were still doing those. I think I've got one of those in my show inventory already though. And I decided to leave this really cool glass set because the deco colors are really strong and fun, and it also goes with this Red Wing Smart set dinnerware under here. So I think I'll leave those here for someone. Fiesta disc pitcher. I think this bisque bust should come with me. She's very pretty. She's kind of neoclassical and maybe a little out of step with what this store is really about, and I think she'll do well at the show, so we'll put her down. This little dog here is a Rinconada. They're becoming very collectible now, these Rinconada figures. They were made in Uruguay, I believe, and they're very cute, but I sold so many here that I'm afraid to take it out because I think that person might come back for more. The leopard here, we believe, is Lane of California. I haven't seen this one very often, and I've got some good leopard lamps in my show stock, so I think I'm going to take him. We'll put him down in the pile. I love this black and white lamp. It's lucite. It's from the late 50s, early 60s. It works great. I just don't have it plugged in because there's so many things plugged in already. I think I'll leave it here, but I do love that piece. Now this piece in the back is Weller, and I have a customer who came to this show who bought every other piece that I had like this last year, and then I found this one afterwards. So I'm going to take this for her. And behind it is a really pretty piece that I've only had to one show in Florida, and it wasn't this show, so I'm going to take this out too. This is Lennox Belique. If you look on the bottom here, there's the mark, which I think I have upside down. There we go. So there's the mark, and the L is for Lennox, and Belique was because they were trying to get people to realize that their ware was really good quality. This was made in the 1910s, and they got sued by Belique, so they didn't get to call it that for very long. So we'll put that in the pile. I'm going to back up here. I just love this clock. It's too big to take to the show, and it looks really good on this wall. Someone almost bought it here the other day. He just fell in love with it, but it's so big. It came out of a bank lobby in Kentucky, and it's that crazy kind of thing that's just so impressive and big and would be a great statement piece on a wall. So we'll leave that here. Hopefully someone moving into one of the new condos here will like it and have a big space. I bought this funky piece at Mount Dora in November, and it is so strange and interesting, and I think it's actually a really fun art piece, but Because it's burlap and it's got cutouts, I'm a little afraid to move it around a lot, so I think I'll leave that here. This table also came from Outdoora, and I need the furniture here to hold things because I have a very full booth, but it is a real cutie with the kidney shape and the Formica. There's some Lenox figures here, and I think these might be good to take to the show because, again, a little more traditional than what this particular mall usually is about. So I think I'll take these out, and they can go with me. And I'm not sure about the Madonna. You know, the Lladró Madonna is one of their more modernist figures, and I think I'll leave her because she fits this particular display a little bit better, I think. Behind this is a Dali print. Now Dali, of course, his big museum in the world is here in Saint Petersburg, Florida. This is actually the biggest and most developed collection that they have. It's actually more so than in Spain, where he was from. And there's a lot of his masterworks on display. So there's interest here. I think I'll leave those for someone to find because I have been selling art here. You see a number of Tarquet pieces, and then you're going to see a big hole here because my Peter Max print sold yesterday, which is really great. I love Peter Max. It's good to see it go to a home. It's actually going to a fellow in Toronto bought it and is taking it back with him. This piece is Tiasa Owen, and I have another one that I'm taking to the show, so I'm going to leave this one here, but she's actually a very well-known artist, contemporary artist, and her pieces sell new for about $2,100, and I have this at about $750, so I think someone will like that. Now, since we're in Florida, I think these bookends are a must. They're very deco, and they're swordfish, and I think they'll do really well. I don't have an electrical source at this show, so I'm not going to take this lamp, but this lamp is really great because it's a motion lamp, and when it turns on, the aquarium spins and the fish go swimming around in it. It's a really great piece out of the 50s, but again, they're going to do really well here in this shop during the show, so I don't want to take everything good. So I'm going to leave that. I am going to take a couple of the pink pigs because, again, they're a little more traditional, and I think maybe not totally appropriate for this shop. And then I'm going to move this Murano fish, which I was tempted to take as well, but I really have a lot of glass, and I do have a lot packed for this show already, so I don't want to go too hog wild here. This piece here, the Blanco piece, is the bamboo pattern, and it is a very hard to find color in this deep sort of evergreen shade. And I'm going to leave that because that's a hard one to find. I've got a whole bunch of these South American maps, but I actually bought a bunch of insect charts that I'm going to take to the show instead, so I'm going to leave these here. And the stained glass lamp is pretty. We'll leave it in place. Up on this shelf, I'm mainly looking for older things that kind of don't fit this store as much. This is a really beautiful piece, though, and it is very Floridian. Let me show you down here. I got to do this with two hands. This is from about 1890 when tourists first started to come to this area. This would be a European transferware piece, and it's just really nicely done. So very early Florida souvenir, and I will take that. Probably take one of these stained glass windows to put behind it too, because that's a nice look. Now let's see, we've got the camel stand. Gonna leave that because I need furniture here to put things on. Here's some pieces of treasure craft, and I usually take these to shows because I wrote the book on it, and it's a nice way to introduce the book and myself to new people who collect. But I've got pieces already packed away for that, so I'll leave these here. But I do like this little tile lighter, and people really enjoy this kind of thing. It's a good showpiece. I think we'll take that with us. And I think we'll take the cast iron parrot bottle opener as well. People ask me, you know, how do you decide what you take and what you leave when you're doing retail and you're doing online and you're doing shows and you're doing all this stuff? And truthfully, some of it is just using your best guess about who the customer is and what you think they'll be looking for. And some of it is trial and error, and you meet new people when you have different things at shows. So I always try to take some things I don't usually carry to find new customers. This is a Turner cockatiel print. It's a great design. I'm very tempted to take it to the show, but boy, they're so I've got so much art right now, I think maybe I'll leave it here. I've got something to replace that Peter Max print in the car. This is probably something to consider too, this Dutch girl bronze. I don't have a lot of bronzes. She's a little old-fashioned for here, but bronzes do really well at this show, so I think I will take her with me. I plan to leave the check glass piece because it's bright and shiny and very modern, and I will also leave the Susie Cooper with the Art Deco style here. Look at this great shape though. I just thought her ring was a really fun pattern. The beer tray may go. I always do well with advertising things, and that's from Rochester, New York, and a lot of Rochesterians seem to come down for the winter, I guess because it's really cold in upstate New York. And then down here, definitely have to take these because it's a political year. This one is Francoma from 73, Nixon and Agnew, and this is the first one from 69. This was the first political mug they made. And of course, anything that's Nixon related has a certain group of collectors who look for it, so I think I'll take that. This vacuum cleaner is great. It's from 1967. It still works. It's a Hoover Constellation. Their advertisement had someone who looked suspiciously a lot intentionally like Mary Tyler Moore vacuuming a house in her capri pants. It was very modern in its time, and the fact that it still runs over 50 years later is pretty great. But it's a big piece, so I'm going to leave that here for someone. And let's see if there's anything else I need to look at. I should look at the Native American a little more, but I should look up as well. I've got nice hanging lighting and chandeliers and things, but I think they'll stay here. So let's go back to that Native American case and we'll look at a couple of the other things here. This guy next to it has a lot of pocket knives and guy stuff, little cigarette cases, pipes, lighters, all the kind of things that I like to buy and sell. But I take mine to shows, and so he can put his here and we don't compete, which is nice. This piece here is a crazy cool old ancient, a little hard to see under the glass maybe, but that is a Pre-Columbian jaguar effigy vessel, and it is worth $2,500 to $3,000 in restored condition, which it is. I think I will leave that here just because it's awfully big and fragile to carry, but I've got woven bottles that might come with me. This cedar match holder made of the cedar bark is going to be from the Northwest. This is Simshin, this castellated grass basket here. And that's kind of a nice piece. I might take that. There's another Pre-Columbian piece. I do like to mix the Native American and the Pre-Columbian. This market basket is likely to be Alaskan or Northwest Salish. And then over here we have, again, same part of the country. We've got this basket with the, people think they're swastika, but they're really not. They're the Native American good luck charm, which was a form of swastika, but it goes the opposite direction of what the Nazis used. It was a very popular motif until Nazism changed the meaning of it, and then it fell out of favor, obviously. I'll probably take that one because that's unusual. And then there's some nice big stone mauls and axe heads. The stonework is actually very popular right now. I think these are likely to be Columbia River, but they are actually selling a lot faster than the baskets. I've sold most of the stonework I had from this particular estate already, so we'll take a look there as well. And let's see if there's anything else that I have overlooked. I think that's it. Okay, so here's a quick look at what I've decided to take to this show. I've got the Francoma political mugs, because we are in a political season, so we're going to bring that kind of thing out. I've got the Victorian coffee pot with the exotic bird and the Lenox swan vase and that little lighter. I did go ahead with the cast iron parrot. The star base is a Weller Atlas, and like I said, I have a person who buys those regularly. This is a pink pig, the one going into the outhouse and surprising the other pink pig. This is from about 1910, and of course it's New Year's 2020, so anything made in the 1910s is now officially 100 years or more old and officially antique rather than vintage. We've got the Lane Panther lamp, the Parian ware or bisque bust, the pair of swordfish or marlin bookends. There's a nice smaller Tarkay print I think I'll take. And then I've got the large Yadro and the Dutch girl. So I think these are going to be nice things to add to the show display, and there's some good high-priced items that'll be some showstoppers and some fun stuff. I've got a ton of fun stuff, so I needed a few more sophisticated things to round out the booth, and I think we've got them. Well, I'm out on the back porch and I'm just finishing up. I've got a few things out here too. They do a lot of outdoor garden pieces and things, and I have a couple out here that I will consider taking to the show. Oh, big kitty back there, hadn't seen that. I've got these bamboo folding chairs behind me. I'll tip so you can see that a little bit. I think I'll take those because I can sit on one and sell the other. Anyhow, thanks for coming with me on my little errand, and please, if you're in the St. Pete area, do come to the show and come to St. Pete Vintage Modern. Vintage Modern St. Pete is open every day except Monday during the season. Sunshine City Antique Show is at the St. Pete Coliseum. It will be this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Friday night opening is the preview, and then Saturday and Sunday, it's a great show. It's a busy show. I can't wait to film it and show it to you. And I can't wait to come back and actually do a whole video on St. Pete Vintage Modern and the St. Pete Antique District, because it's a really fun place to shop and really cool stuff. So we'll be back soon with all that. In the meantime, I've got to get ready for my show, so thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community, here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media daily posts and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.